Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You like blood, violence, and freaks of nature? Well, then come on down to Your Take is Excrement, a podcast for where we talk about dog shit films, apparently. Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is May, and...
I'm Neo.
Were you going to make a joke?
No.
You seemed like you were trying to make a joke this whole introduction.
I'm the Joker, baby. I'm always joking.
you got a joke in there. In the back. Your hair is good. It's becoming kind of greenish. On the hue.
The green looks good. I'm gonna go purple next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. We could make that happen.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty easy. Okay.
Before we get too deep into it, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Machine Age Productions and their RPG I Hunt. The show Blood Thing. It's on YouTube, and Ambient Dream Studio. It's an Etsy shop. We'll talk about all three of those later on in the show.
The ad break at the 30-minute mark.
We'd also like to thank all of our patrons. You can catch us on Patreon at patreon.com/excrement.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. What's that from?
That's from Breaking Bad.
Oh.
I'm so happy to be here this week, my friends. This week has been fucking insane. We've done so much stuff this week.
Really capable of joy and mirth and happiness after the 2 Eli Roth episodes?
God, no. I don't even know. So, well, okay.
I've just been faking it, to be honest.
Just faking the ultimate orgasm of happiness.
The inside of me is just the image of like Ben Affleck smoking.
It's at the moment after he dropped his coffee,
completely devoid of any joy and mirth.
Oh geez. All right, so this season of the podcast, last season we were talking about stuff that was like fantastic, just great. This season we were talking about, it's season 2, season poo, which is to say we're talking shit, which is we're gonna find stuff that we don't particularly love and we're gonna talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we did Eli Roth. Now, pretty much, if you got a baseball bat, this is ironic, of course, because he was in Inglourious Bastards. But if you got a baseball bat and Eli Roth has a ball, and that ball is a piece of shit movie, you're gonna hit that ball. Eli Roth will pitch a piece of shit movie every time. And that's what we learned, I think, ultimately. So I was digging.
Well, the problem with Eli Roth movies comes directly from Eli Roth.
He has a bad attitude.
Yeah.
He has a really bad attitude, and it's very frustrating.
A person's attitude goes a long way to determine how their life goes.
Yes. So flipping over to the other side, I was thinking like, well, fuck, we got to come up with a filmmaker who's kind of like Eli Roth.
Don't compare him to Eli Roth.
Hold on. So I was like, listen, I don't think Neo is going to much like the films of Rob Zombie. I don't know why I feel that way. Could it be because his name is Rob Zombie? I don't know. Fuck. Anyway, I guess I was under the impression that you would not like this film, but it turns out we actually had a rather good time watching House of 1,000 Corpses, Rob Zombie's first film.
Wait, how many?
1,000.
That's 10 times the amount of Gex that the Gex have.
Fuck off. Oh my god, everybody at home just unsubscribed because of that joke.
I'm sorry.
Come back.
No.
Where are you going?
It was funny, damn it.
How many corpses? That's too many corpses.
Or not enough.
House of 1,000 Corpses. It's the first film by Rob Zombie, a man that you have no opinion of, a low opinion of. Where are you at with Rob Zombie, actually?
So before we watched House of 1,000 Corpses and the other Rob Zombie movie we watched, I had heard his music in The Matrix. I had his music recommended to me by the YouTube algorithm, and that was it. I don't know. I didn't actually listen to his music, but I didn't really have a take about it.
Well, I gotta ask you this question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this question, but what the fuck do people in Kenya think of Rob Zombie?
Well, I mean, I don't.
What do they?
I don't
Do
think
they talk
many-
about him much?
No, not really. I think if they knew about him, the majority of people probably wouldn't like him.
Wouldn't? Why?
Well,
Because he's white trash, kind of.
no,
stuff,
because the zombies have a pretty different connotation.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
In a lot of Africa compared.
So they would
compared
think
to
that
the
would have
US.
some kind of
Well, but also
voodoo connotation. Would be
yeah,
negative.
yeah, not just the voodoo, but like kind of the evil spirituality. It's
So
it's
it looks-
more of a bad vibe.
It's dangerous and sexy here. Over there, it's
Well,
taken very seriously.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, and I've kind of had to grapple with this, because where I grew up in Benin, like ritual scarification was a really big deal.
Yes.
So so like witch doctors would take a dull razor blade
Mm-hmm.
and cut ritual scarifications into like 100 babies at a time.
Yeah.
Just kind of assembly
Right.
line style. Or they would cut the head off a chicken, watch the chicken run around, and
Yeah.
to do like witchcraft. And so what's kind of like dark and spooky and countercultural and edgy in America, the kind of is
It has
the-
real world, tangible consequences.
yeah, the same connotations, in other places in the world. It's no longer countercultural and fun and spooky. It's it's more real, and so
Taken
that's
seriously.
yeah, and that's something that's like what might have been the biggest piece of cultural shock for me is like oh, so when like in America when people are talking about this kind of like dark spirituality, it's not cutting babies with dull AIDSy razor blades and
Yeah.
and killing chickens.
Right. And so I guess that kind of brings us to my experience with the man, because like Rob Zombie is an American icon, which is fucked up and weird to think about. And so if you're not in America, that means that, I guess, congratulations. He's not an icon for you. He's only an icon for us trash. And that's okay. So like growing up with him, understand that the American conservative establishment did an awful lot of things to people in the 90s, and the reaction to it was pretty ugly. I don't know if you've ever heard of a little man named Marilyn Manson, but there was some problems. And so Rob Zombie is kind of a response to American conservatism, which is, well, if you think I'm so evil for liking cool rock and roll music, then I guess I'm going to be the most evil fuck imaginable. But not like Burzum evil, not like Nazi evil, but like spooky.
Yeah.
And so the Munsters, right, are kind of a symbol for Rob Zombie, in that they represent his brand very well, which is this thing that used to be spooky or scary is actually cool, a lifestyle, and sexy.
Right.
And he sells that to the American people rather well. He's sold it to us my whole life, and most people super buy into it, and that's totally fine. I guess he's dad rock now, but there was a time where people pretty much bought into it, and they didn't really consider the obvious like political connotation.
For every dad rock band, at one point there was a hip young person's band who just just kind of aged out.
Right. Well, and so Rob Zombie ends up in this position where throughout the 90s, he makes music. He does it for a decade. And that's how he challenges the American establishment in a lot of ways, like the conservative establishment. It's through music. He does that for a while. And, after you've done anything for a decade, you start to feel the itch for something new. And Rob Zombie was always inspired by horror movies. That was a big thing that he used to get under the skin of the American people. And so he was like, well, naturally, I should make my own really fucked up horror movie. It only makes sense. So he's like, well, I'm going to grab all of my influences and just do all of my influences in a really fucked up and visceral, very me way. I want to come out swinging with voice. Voice is my whole fucking thing. So he makes a movie that's basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre mixed with Rocky Horror Picture Show, mixed with it's kind of its own little animal after a point. There's a lot of referencing, but it's also unlike anything else that has ever been made, and that cannot be understated, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, we have a fanboy basically of this culture, using it against the establishment for a long time, generating this whole new aesthetic and new conceptualized lifestyle. It's like not just being goth, but it's being spooky all the time. And it's a lifestyle, it's a thing. It's not like Marilyn Manson where it's so fucking serious. It's got a sense of humor. People are super into it. Exactly. So he makes a movie and you're like, obviously this is going to represent those ideas. And I think if there's anything to say, the big shocker here is that regardless of how much I want to say, like, I go back and forth on whether or not I like Rob Zombie as a filmmaker, I think this one works quite a bit. Shockingly.
Yeah.
Somehow. I think it represents his ideals very well. And I think that time has given it a lot more credibility in that way.
Right.
And with that, I would like you, Neo, to describe to the people at home what the fuck this is. Because I don't even know. And I want you to do it in detail because there's a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
And I want you to catch all of it like a butterfly net. So hit us with it.
I'm going to try. But first, I want to say, if you haven't seen the movie itself is kind of disjointed.
Yes.
So if, like, in my summary, it's I just want everyone to know it's kind of a disjointed movie.
Who is the main character?
So, who is the main character? I mean,
who is the main character?
Who do you want to? Well,
is there a main character?
I would argue yes. So the bit with both this movie and the sequel to it, and I presume the sequel to the sequel, the third installment,
yes,
follows the same formula where it's a movie designed for you to root for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre slasher family.
Yes.
And so, you could argue that the main character is the girl who escapes, and there's a fair argument for her being the main character. But there's also a fair argument for the primary slasher of the slasher family, Otis.
Yeah.
Otis being the main character. So that being said, the movie starts with a clown.
Completely unrelated.
Called Captain Spankle.
Fuck off. Captain Spaulding.
Spaulding, that's it.
Captain Spankle.
Captain Spankle. It's a good clown name.
It is.
So it starts with
Captain Spaulding. Let's not fuck that up again. People will be very upset about that.
I'm sorry.
Captain Spaulding is an icon.
I do love Captain Spaulding.
He's like the John Wayne of horror movies. Everybody fucking loves Captain Spaulding.
I loved Captain Spaulding. They just didn't say his fucking name in the movie.
They sure didn't.
In the first one, he's the main character. He's much more of a character in the second one. So it starts with the clown Spaulding getting robbed in his gas station, and he, as a clown in a horror movie, they always are, is capable of tremendous violence. So he fucking kills the people trying to rob him.
He's capable of tremendous violence.
Yes. Am I wrong?
No, fuck your mama. Fuck yo sister. Yeah, no, he is he blows everyone's brains out.
Yeah.
Including us. The camera gets its brains
shot.
Yeah. Well, and so quick aside, when I saw Rob Zombie play in 2006, he
May dropping her fucking cred.
He had a bit where right before he played Demonoid Phenomenon, he had Captain Spaulding come up on screen and go, "Most of all, fuck you! Bam, bam, bam! Demonoid Phenomenon!" It was so good. Anyway, keep going.
So then after that, a clown or not clown car full of potential victims roll up to the gas station.
One of which is Dwight from The Office.
Yeah.
And the other is Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
Yikes-a-roni.
And so they're writing a book about like oddities out
Roadside attractions.
Yeah, off the beaten path. And Captain
Spaulding.
I was pretty close to saying
say it, I'm
Spanking
gonna
again.
fucking kill you.
Captain Spaulding is like, hey, there's this murder tree you're looking for. It's over here. Here's directions. Don't go to it. Please don't go to it. I'm warning you. Don't go to it. Don't go over there. It's a bad idea. I'm a clown. You can listen to me. You can trust me. It's a bad idea.
You can trust me. Would this face lie to you? I'm a clown.
I'm a clown.
He's very mustache twirling clown. He has a murder ride.
Oh yeah. They go on this murder ride where he's like, here are all these famous murderers, and then on that murder ride they foreshadow the evil doctor. What was his name?
Dr. Satan.
Yeah, Dr. Satan, who's doing diabolical experiments on people. And anyway, and then that gets dropped until later on in the movie. They just kind of
Dr. Satan.
They give a little hint and then they move on.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're trying to go to the murder tree. The Otis shoots out their tire. And then shows up as the tow truck man.
No, there's a different. There is a tow truck brother as well.
I thought
RJ, the tow truck brother.
Oh.
Yes, there is a tow truck brother.
I completely.
He does work on their car. Now, here's the question. I think on everyone's lips. Why exactly do they have RJ go fix the car if they're just gonna shoot them and blow out and fuck up the car anyway?
Don't worry about it.
Oh,
so
God.
Okay. So Otis shoots out the tire. RJ comes, picks them up. They wait. Did they picked up
the scarecrow
baby?
thing.
They picked up baby first, right? Or doll? What was her name? Rob Zombie's wife.
Sherry Moon Zombie? Baby?
Yeah, they pick up baby. She was like hitchhiking, right? In the rain?
Yes.
And so they picked her up. The tire gets shot out. And then the tow truck shows up. And baby is like, hey, we can go to my house while they're fixing the car.
Yeah.
So they go to her house.
And they meet her stupid family.
Yeah, so they meet her mom. Yeah, I think her name's just Mama, right?
Mama, played by Karen Black, noted exploitation film legend.
And then there's Tiny, who's this big,
another
big
character
boy.
actor. Yep. And
then there's Otis, who looks like the butler from Rocky Horror Picture Show, but not bald.
Yeah, that would be Bill Moseley, who's in Repo, The Genetic Opera. He's in he's Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I met him in all the years back in the day. I went to so many. I used to work press at we'll get here, but I used to work press at conventions, and let me tell you what, I met the cast of this movie a fucking few times. All right, so keep going. Let's keep going.
They get into the house, and then it just kind of quickly turns into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre murder house.
Yes. They turn Dwight into Fish Boy.
Yeah. And then they scalp the other dude, right?
Cops come.
The cops come. They kill the cops.
They do.
Can't really blame for that one.
Nope.
Then they have a Halloween celebration with the two remaining victims.
Yes.
They torture them, fuck them up, and then they put them in a coffin and lower them into a well.
While doing some kind of weird satanic ritual,
yeah.
I guess.
Then like weird.
Baby kills one of them with a knife in the forest.
Yeah.
Remember, one of them gets up and runs away, so she kills him.
So I guess they only killed what?
Well, there's like a final girl, right? So she goes down into the hole.
Oh well, the person that baby killed got put in the coffin.
Yes.
With the final girl, right?
I think so.
Anyway, two bodies, one alive, one
not alive.
Maybe I can't
remember.
Questionable
living condition.
Schrodinger's body.
Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, they get dropped in the hole. And then fish people grab the body or the dead person, or the alive person, but they very quickly become a dead person after the fish people get them.
Yeah.
Then the final girl starts exploring this like
cavernous
underground area, where she stumbles across Dr. Satan.
Yes.
Who's doing experiments on a living person. Dr. Satan has this big ol'... Well, okay, first of all, all y'all who like Warhammer, Dr. Satan's pretty much a Drukhari fucking flesh boy. Homunculus, that's it. So you have this like weird, you know, flesh sculpted scientist dude. Listen, some people will get the reference. Back me up, y'all.
Wow.
So he has this giant cyberpunk flesh zombie murder man. Do you think Rob Zombie plays Warhammer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So Dr. Satan sends the flesh murder monster cyberpunk man to get the final girl. He is also like throwing up like green stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the cavern collapses and kills him. And then the final girl escapes and is like doing the whole like end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, where she's like running around the road and she's like, "Won't somebody help me?" And then Captain Spaulding arrives. She hops in his car, and he's like, "Oh, you're all right. We gotta take you to a hospital." And as they're driving away, Otis pops up in the back and stabs her.
And it says the end.
And it says,
and then a question mark appears next to the end.
Yes.
Well, let me tell you what, Neo. I hate this movie.
You do?
No. What do you think?
I
mean, just a general opinion, because I think we're about to head into the ad break, but right before we head into the ad break, I don't know.
So I'm gonna say this. I didn't like the ending.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
where did it die for you?
It literally died. Well, so I think the Dr. Satan stuff was a little strange, but like being a giant fan of Warhammer 40K and specifically the Drukhari, like the whole flesh doctor sculptor homunculus bit was awesome, and I like it didn't fit the tone of the movie up until that point, but I like that bit so much that I was like, okay, yeah, neat.
I appreciate, I think, that the movie makes its own rules.
Yeah.
It doesn't care what's right.
Yeah.
To do.
Yeah, and so the movie, like, it didn't. I mean, I guess it died in the last 4 fucking seconds where Otis popped up, because I feel like, because, and then in the context of the second movie starts with the cops raiding their house, the House of 1,000 Corpses.
Right.
And so, but they're raiding because they're looking for the 2 cops they killed. So in the context of the sequel, the cops were already going to show up and kill people, and like do the whole like shootout. So you could have like let her escape like without any problem. But
yeah.
It's just like it just didn't take any time to set up where Otis, like how Otis got in the Spaulding's car. And then also it turns out in the second movie that Captain Spaulding is the dad of the family.
Yeah.
And they didn't really hint at that very much in the first movie. And so the whole, I don't know, it was just like that ending kind of like fell through to me, because what I felt was going to happen, and what I thought was kind of like forecast in the movie is that Spaulding was kind of like the lovable murder asshole clown with the heart of gold. And I thought the movie was going to end with Spaulding like coming out of the woods with a chainsaw and slashing the slasher family.
And like saving the day.
Yeah, and being like, I'm Captain Spaulding, ah ha ha, as he's like ripping someone apart with a chainsaw, and he's doing his like his like ah ha 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 laugh as like there's like blood flying everywhere. And
right.
And you know, so because like the subversion of the narrative of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family getting slashered by an evil clown.
Yeah,
I think would just be the coolest movie ever.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I was hoping would happen with how they introduced Spaulding as like, because initially they show his capacity for violence and his like unhinged nature, but then they show him getting along with the victims when they show up. So you know they demonstrated his unhinged capacity for violence, and then they demonstrated his like seemingly genuine like friendliness and like care for these random people.
Right.
Because the whole bit during that scene was he was like, well, I'm just kind of a simple Southern clown, and hospitality is important for me, but so is my like dignity and pride because I'm a good old Southern boy clown.
Right.
And so I kind of thought that he would be the kind of, you know, the cowboy clown to come in to save the day.
He even has a John Wayne tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I just
very much sees himself as the protagonist,
and
hero
so
of the whole thing.
And so I thought that an ending where he came in and saved the final girl with like, I don't know, with maybe all these like clown contraptions of violence,
oh my
like
God.
like Pee Wee Herman contraptions, but of like murderous clown rage.
Wow.
Like you know the little flower that like squirts water, but it's like acid. So someone's like he's like look at this flower, honk, and it's like
oh yeah, no, I feel you
and shit.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
So I don't know. I feel like so like I had that whole fantasy in my head, and while they were running through the doctor Satan bit, I was like expecting her to come out, and then Otis to be there killing the slash. Not Otis, Spaulding to be there killing the slashers. So I had this whole fantasy that I was really excited for, and then she meets up with Spaulding. And I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna happen. And then Rob Zombie is like, fuck you.
Well. This is killing me. This one, ooh boy, this is killing me. Have you ever seen Friday the 13th? Do you know about that?
I know it's just a slasher killing teens in a.
Okay,
no, I don't.
Well,
I guess I don't.
So the first Friday the 13th film is Jason's mother. It's not Jason.
Oh.
It's Jason's mother going around killing teenagers to avenge Jason, who died. And at the end of the movie, there's like a big what the fuck ending where Jason, a zombie, comes out of the water and attacks somebody, launching the whole series.
Right.
So Rob Zombie wanted to emulate the ending of Friday the 13th with this, where very literally, I mean, even the framing is the same. Otis jumps out of the back with a knife, and you're like, what the fuck? Why is Otis in the back of Captain Spaulding's car? That doesn't make any sense. Wait, so Captain Spaulding actually was entrapping them the whole time? That's crazy, because he didn't seem like he was entrapping them the whole time. But wait, so they're friends? But I thought they hated each other or something. Like, well, why would they? And this doesn't. So, lots of questions, I guess.
Well, and it's not questions for me because like as much as I like aspects of this movie, I think everyone can admit it's like technically it's not the best movie.
No, it's not perfect. And well, and that's almost what's good about it.
But yeah, but
authenticity exists in pain.
Yeah, it is
failure.
Like it is authentic. While like from a pacing perspective, you know, it's not super great. You know, from
experimental editing style.
Yeah,
kind of
you know,
gross.
there's all these parts of it that
it's kind of bad acting at times.
Yeah, that make it not a very good movie. Well, there's Rob Zombie's like fixation on making sure everyone knows his wife is sexy, and
we know,
and how that
we fucking
like,
know,
and how it's kind of like I don't know, like it as long as like she's fine with it. Like, it's whatever.
I don't mind a little exhibitionism in my horror films.
Yeah, so but
he's a wife guy. I appreciate it.
But it's a weird break of pace when it goes from like dark, dank, spooky horror film to like, look how hot my wife is.
Yeah.
But it's like ignoring all those issues. I thought, it was like a passion project. And you put a lot of like
there's something alive in it.
Yeah. And so I think that makes up for a lot of other issues in the film.
That's very nuanced.
Yeah.
Let's do an ad break.
Break.
Are you tired of this happening to you? Someone comes in and tells you an ad in the most boring imaginable way. I am super tired of it. Thank God there's a new product on the line called This Ad Break, starring Neo. Neo, do it in like a spicy, fun way. The people are so tired of these boring, regular-ass ad breaks.
Do you have friends?
No.
No?
Wait. Yes.
Well, yes.
Let's say hypothetically I do.
Do you want to have a good time with your friends?
In a non-sexual way, yes, please. I'm a platonic kind of person.
All right. Well, if you want to have...
It's possible. That's cool. Is sex possible in iHunt? Is there a way to play iHunt in a horny way?
I think there's a way to play all RPGs in a horny way, but I think a very important part of playing horny RPGs is making sure everyone is like aware, consenting, and you'll have your lines and veils.
Well, I don't consent. Clearly. I want a platonic game.
Hell yeah!
What
of hashtag iHunt?
That's right. But
gather your friends and in the game. Download the app. Get ready to go hunt monsters in the gig economy.
Oh,
you want to
that sounds fucking intense.
Go hunt the werewolves or the vampires or the insert monster. You want your team to research, study, track down, and hunt. Try not to die.
That's great.
Yeah.
The next advertisement is for Blood Thing, which is a YouTube series, an animated YouTube series starring blood in a thing shape. It's kind of it has like an Invader Zim vibe. You'll like it. I don't know why I say this, but that's what I'm going for.
And listen, May, there's no higher compliment from May than Invader Zim vibe.
I mean, I guess that's true. I do like Invader Zim, listen. What?
Can I out you here?
Go ahead.
May has an Invader Zim tattoo. That's the degree we're talking about, y'all.
Holy shit. And I gave it to myself. Sometimes I forget about that. I'm such a 2006 emo girl. I swear to God. All right. Blood Thing. Check it out. We got a link. It's in the description.
Is your room or apartment or house or home or McMansion boring? Do you like psychedelic art?
Me too.
I do. That's all of the art in our home.
Pretty much.
I honestly, like, if you want psychedelic art, Ambient Dream Studio, link in the description. After this podcast, I keep on putting it off because I'm busy. I'm going to go and buy a fucking poster. I'm going to put it in my fucking room.
Let me tell you what. If I know I'm going to at you at home. You go on Amazon.com. You go to Amazon.com. You go on that motherfucking website and you type in wall scroll or some shit. And you put in your cart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And then you buy it. Yeah, why? Because it's cheaper? A little bit? Okay. Like what, $10? $8? Okay. That's great. Gets here in 2 days. That's great. But guess what? That shit was mass produced. No heart in there, no soul. So when you're tripping on your shrooms or your acid, from this moment on, you're going to look at that Amazon ass fucking shit and you're going to go, wow, what a corporate piece of shit. Go to Etsy.com and buy some art from someone who made it themselves. They work hard on this shit. And they designed it for you. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and in not in a way that's unkind and abusive.
Yeah. And like on a real note, whenever we're tripping in the living room, we always fixate on like the one thing that was like personally like genuinely made.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so get art like that for you to enjoy. Even if you're not tripping, looks cool as shit.
If it's handmade, people love it.
Yeah.
It's so much more valuable. And I think that that's true. I think pre-industrial revolution behaviors are kind of not that bad. I think we adopt, hey, I'll give you $60 for your work. Like, why the fuck not? It's a little markup, but like, okay.
But that's soul.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's worth it. And we're back to House of 1,000 Corpses. How many corpses is that, Neo?
One more than 999. Two more than 998. Three more than 997. I'm going to keep doing this till you stop me. Four more than 996.
I'm going to stop you now. So it's take time, bitch. We are going to talk politics. Okay, listen. Okay, actually.
Filth is my politics. Filth is my life.
So this movie has two kind of attitudes. One is that religion is a thing. There's so much shit in there that's like, hell is real. It's real. You're in it. It's now. Mm-hmm. I'm the devil. You're in hell. And they do a lot of that.
And I feel like they do it a lot more in the second one.
They do, but they do it a lot in this one too.
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious about your general attitude about this because, like, I feel like this movie, there's a part about it where, okay, people at home, Neo. I've been trying to get Neo to watch The Exorcist, right? But Neo kind of doesn't really want to watch it. And so the reason Neo doesn't want to watch it is because he has deep-rooted trauma associated with things like that. From being in Kenya, where that kind of shit has very serious ramifications.
More so from Benin. But yeah, the whole like spiritual horror just kind of like triggers me. Like at some point I need to like get in there and unpack that, but it's just like the line I have where it's like
the thing I'm going to say about it is that The Exorcist as a film, the challenging idea I guess of The Exorcist is that objectively the devil exists and is in the body of a little girl, like objectively in the movie, and that's kind of hard to grapple with emotionally if that's something you care about. But other than that, it's a Catholic propaganda movie endorsing Catholicism and trying to get people to go to church. No shit. Like literally no shit. The movie is about an atheist who kind of reconverts to Catholicism over the course of the film because he realizes that evil does exist and God is fighting evil.
Right.
And you need to be on God's side fighting the evil too. And so like that's how the movie answers the problem of evil. I'm summing up The Exorcist very quickly. My point is, it is an endorsement of religion. Mm-hmm. This movie is everything created to offend your sensibility with this specific thing. But because it doesn't have the objective aspect of the devil possessing a little girl's body, it's somehow different, even though the ideology of this film is really vile in comparison.
Right, but I think you are right, and it's a difference in context. So when a movie like this, we were talking about at the start of the episode this cultural like zeitgeist that Rob Zombie's at the head of.
Right.
For me, there's a fundamental disconnect between that zeitgeist and kind of the stuff I grew up with and the stuff that's like kind of like trauma for me. And so when Rob Zombie in his cultural understanding,
it feels fun when he does it.
Well, but it because for me it's an entirely different context. It's they're using the same language, but the utility of that language, what that language represents, and what that language is trying to tell me is entirely different from what
it's not taking it so seriously.
But I think it's because Rob Zombie is trying to piss off like American evangelical conservatives, and like, you know, the traditional, like, specifically American evangelical experience, and what they saw as like traumatic through religion, or attacks on their religion, is a very different thing than what I see as religious attacks, you know, towards like Christianity. And so when Rob Zombie has a family who's like kooky and slashers, and they're like, I'm the devil, we're the devils, welcome to hell. Like, I just see it as part of this like counterculture. So and when
almost
about
a celebration of it. It's almost like a big party.
Well,
so it's
yeah,
hard
and
to
so,
hate it. It's
and,
hard to
and,
be
and,
fucked up by it.
And so I interpret it as an intentional middle finger to conservative evangelical Christians.
Yes.
And so I don't I don't perceive that as a genuine like
attack on you or your ideology in any
well,
way, because you're not that ultimately.
And it's not even an attack on me or my ideology, but it's like a representation of what of the concepts I have of actual like possession and hell and and that. So it's
that's fair.
It's to the average.
There's a metaphysical. I see. Okay, got it. The metaphysical aspect of it in and of itself. So that's why Hereditary not gonna work.
I don't know. Probably not.
Because there's some metaphysical. But Ghostbusters okay because
there's this fundamental disconnect.
Exactly, fundamental disconnect versus genuinely metaphysical construction.
So yeah, and I don't really want to get into it a lot. This is kind of like the one part of like my experience in my life that I don't like to talk about a lot. Like everything else, you know, I'll dive right into it.
Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll probably get there throughout the podcast. But
yeah, I've okay. So there's this line from Sicario where Guillermo del Toro's character says to an American, he's like, what's going to happen down here? Your American eyes and ears will not comprehend, and you won't perceive it. Like, or not that you won't perceive it, but like you won't understand it.
Yeah,
like you will see what's happening, and it will not like connect with you, and you won't understand it. And so that line really hits me, because that's how I feel with a lot of the things I've gone through. Is like the average like American experience just kind of doesn't click with how I feel about things and how I perceive things, just because of like kind of
being
like,
raised in another country, and also Benin
in a different like culture
like that,
and different like cultural aspects of things. And so and you're right, it is this like metaphysical like I have a completely different view on these like spiritual things. And so, you know, and all my friends are in this like Rob Zombie culture, and so, you know, when I'm watching a Rob Zombie film that's a celebration of that culture, I don't connect it with all that bad shit that I have.
Well, so I guess the first thing I guess is like, I think it's important that we're finding that line for you more than addressing it. We'll address it, later, but for now, it's just finding the line, and I think that's interesting. That we found the line. There it is, right there. There's the line for Neo where it becomes triggering.
Well, and like there was one time it was in high school, and it was in like I can't remember what class it was in, but the teacher started playing like voodoo drums as like a demonstration, and I had to get up and leave the classroom, and I like got in the hallway and just had a fucking meltdown. And so I got a lot better, but I used to not be able to listen to some kinds of like metal because the drumming is kind of similar, and it would just fucking send me, you know. So it's like,
and it's a very specific sound.
Yeah,
like I know the sound you're talking about. It's very specific drumming, and I've heard it in stuff too. And a lot of people will flirt with that kind of stuff without realizing it's deep set cultural trauma. It's almost racist, I want to say. In circumstances for like fucking dumb white people to be using shit like that, not knowing it's like deep set cultural traumatic thing. It's like cultural appropriation, right? Because like that kind of stuff it belongs to a specific subsect of human life.
And like later on, we might do a whole mini episode about this. You know, actually, like, legitimately, if we wanted to have like my dad on, because I know we've joked about that.
Oh wow, that'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. But anyway,
Paul.
Yeah, getting back on topic after I've
Can I still smoke
completely
weed?
fucking derailed it.
Probably not around Paul.
Right now you can.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna do some. Anyway, so to get back around, I think House of a Thousand Corpses there's a disarming thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the surprising aspect. It's the same thing that exists in Rob Zombie's music. I remember being 11 years old and seeing Rob Zombie and being like, genuinely scary looking man. You know what I mean?
Right, but he has no malice to him, like no actual malice.
And that makes him the opposite of Eli Roth. Genuinely, if I was in a room with Rob Zombie and Eli Roth and I was worried about one of them bullying me and being a dick, Eli Roth, absolutely. Rob Zombie, genuinely wife guy saint, probably the nicest motherfucker on the planet. Well, and I can tell it's in his movies. It's like Eli Roth comes across like a fucking scumbag in his movies because he does scumbag shit. Rob Zombie does scumbag shit as well, but he doesn't have a malicious bone in him, so he can't be mean about it.
So yeah, and so like Rob Zombie pushed and created a space for people who've been bullied and pushed to like the fringes of society.
This is very good, what you're saying.
And so it's like I can never be upset with people and like ideologies that have developed because they've been pushed to the fringes, because it's like, yeah, I totally get it. Like I totally understand why you think this and why you're using this iconography. And I deeply empathize with your frustrations to to the core of like this evangelical conservatism. And so it's like when you're appropriating their vile shit to embrace it, to lead this counterculture, I am for that. Like I am all for like appropriating things that have been used to harm you
against them
to lead this counterculture.
Well, and yeah, and I think that's very exemplified in this. And well, and it's, I mean, I have an idea after this, but okay. First things first, you, Neo. One thing that surprised me about you is like a long time ago, I learned this thing about you with the line where you can't do the metaphysical stuff. So I was always like, okay, got to be a little careful. Don't want to say things about that imply that I'm like genuinely interested in the occult in like some actually romanticized way, because I'm really not. But I think the aesthetic is funny sometimes, and in the same way that Rob Zombie does. You know what I mean? It's the same thing where it's like, I'm never gonna be Richard Dawkins about that shit, but I'll be Rob Zombie about that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or the worst I've ever been is Carlin, you know? And so like, I was over at when you were living at your parents' house, I was over at your parents' house, and I saw that you had all your t-shirts like neatly folded in a nice little pile, and on the top I saw a shirt that had Baphomet on it, but it's a pop Baphomet. But it's a
cat.
It's a cat.
It's Baphomeow.
I know. But my point is, when I was there, I was alone in your room when I first saw this, and I looked at it and I thought about it. I genuinely had thoughts. Like I was like, huh, like interesting how the iconography suddenly is fine and fun and funny and not so fucked up and serious as soon as it leaves the context of the metaphysical, or it leaves the concept. So like, I think that kind of exemplifies why this opens the door for a lot of stuff, because the tone of this movie is friendly. It's mean, but it's friendly.
Right. How?
And that's the key. And I think if there's anything to criticize about Rob Zombie, and this brings me to my next point, it's that in his later movies he loses his friendliness for the most part.
Right.
And so there's so much horror cred in this, and there is in his later movies as well, but in that he makes movies it's like bullied people making movies starring their favorite actors from all the horror movies they like. You know, they're all there and they all have a great role, including Rob Zombie's hot wife, and you get to see her ass a lot.
Right.
You know, and like it's so objectifying, right? But it's okay because it's for the fucked up people, right? And he's a wife guy, and it's exhibitionism, and they like it. It's like sexy for them or some shit. So you're like, okay, so like it's got this like it's like, hello, horror fan, here's a movie for you. I made it for you with all your favorites. Everything you like is in this,
Right.
Everything, all of it, even if it's messy, but everything you like, it's in here.
Right. It's very Tarantino,
and it's friendly.
Yeah.
And it's friendly, and it's a nice package. Comes in, and it's hard to hate. It's genuinely hard to hate it.
Yeah. And he's like you know, everyone has takes on like Quentin Tarantino. But it's very much the same thing Tarantino does, where Tarantino took everything that he loves and inspired him and makes movies about those.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the most endearing part of Tarantino.
Well, and the only way that you like Tarantino is if you are endeared to him for that aspect. And so I think the same thing exists for Rob Zombie, where if you're endeared to him for his friendliness, then you're going to find this and his horror cred authentic. If you don't think he's friendly, you're going to think this is inauthentic,
right?
And kind of like sucking at the horror dick. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, here's all the things, just cynically come in here, please come watch my movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that brings me to my idea, which is that we've now watched his good movie. We gotta watch a bad one.
No.
We do.
No.
We gotta watch 31. So 31 is the least interesting movie on the face of the planet. It's like it's literally the same vibe of like Murder Factory, you know, exciting clown shit, weird characters, off the wall, zany, but no friendliness, none, zero. Gone. All character, all life, all happiness sucked out. Malcolm McDowell is in the movie.
Oh wow.
And he's so and so I mentioned this because something happened. What happened? What happened to Rob?
Yeah.
That's the question for the future. See, we also watched The Devil's Rejects. This is something I'm going to reveal now. And I suppose we're going to talk about that next, which only makes sense. But I think we got to follow that up because these two movies, they're like a solid pair. I think they go together well. You need to talk about them both. However, the next one, 31, or Lords of Salem could go either way. 31, bad. Okay? You're not going to like it. And so with that, I think the question becomes, what the fuck happened to Rob? What happened to Rob? Where'd he go? What happened to him?
Right.
So you've seen him at his best now. You've seen him be friendly. And I can also see, I think if there's anything we've gained here, it's this understanding of why he's appealing to you, a Christian. Like, how did this happen? And I think that's universally true. I've seen Rob Zombie play live shows 5 or 6 times, like a lot of times, and understand that, you know, there was certainly a time when it was because I was a super duper fan. But there were also times where it was more cultural anthropology. Like, I don't like this album that he's touring on, but like, I'll go and see what this is all about. Like, let's see what he's doing nowadays. And then also there have been a couple moments where it's like, it's Halloween and I've got $50 and he's in town, and it's like, it's fucking Halloween. Like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna miss that. And then it turns out to be like the most epic fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, you know? And you're like, well, shit, like, regardless of whether or not I appreciate his music or think that he's like a fantastic musician or a cool dude or a cool guy, or I like his movies or any of that shit, without a doubt, he is a showman and he makes it worth it. But it doesn't go all the way sometimes, which becomes really odd because I admire and respect the man, having seen him, but at the same time, like, I've also seen him fail a lot over the last decade.
Right.
I think we all have, but understand that he hasn't failed like Marilyn Manson has failed. Like Marilyn Manson might as well just dig a big grave in his backyard, jump in it, and then cover himself.
Remember
with
that time
dirt.
he like tripped during a concert and was just like, "I'm dead. Put a sheet over me and carry me out."
Fucking asshole. It's just like, kill him. Someone, please. On the other hand, well, I mean, put him out of his misery. He's made like 4 blues albums now, and they're all bad. Anyway, Rob Zombie, on the other hand, is like, Jesus Frankenstein, I'm gonna fuck his dick. And you're like, wow, Rob, that's great. You haven't changed a bit. But he has. And I guess that's the weird thing. It's like, I've watched him fail, but he hasn't failed like his brothers have failed, like the other people that came up with him. The other people that came up with him have fallen the fuck apart. And it was always there. Like Marilyn Manson, he wrote a book about abusing people.
Yeah.
He wrote a book about it.
He wrote a book about how rapey he was.
Yeah, and so...
Or is. Still is.
Yeah, and so who's fucking shocked, right? No one. Rob Zombie, he's made all of these vile movies. These horrible things in these, but there's a friendliness. So I don't think he's a bad dude. Like, I imagine he's probably an all right dude.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an asshole. Well, I think he's a genuine, and he and Eli both have this in common. They both have eyes, and they both have seen horror movies, and they both are trying to communicate things they've seen in horror movies.
Right. It's just one is genuine and the other is a massive prick.
Exactly. And it's exemplified by their films.
And so, like, the way I see Rob Zombie is, like, this one time I was at a metal show. Sleeper. Woohoo.
All right.
They broke up. I'm sad.
Rip.
But I was at the show, and, like, my shoelace came untied, and I was at the front. And so I was trying to, like, get out of the like, flesh pile of metal concerts. But since my shoe was untied, there were, like, 8 people on my shoelace. You know, so I couldn't, like, get out. And I was getting, like, it was just, like, a bad time. So I was like, okay, I gotta, like, try to, like, tie my shoe so I don't get, like, tripped over and shit. So I, like, go to tie my shoe, and it's in the middle of a fucking metal show, so I'm getting thrown around because I'm, like, kneeling down trying to get my shoe tied. All of a sudden, it's like, I'm not getting thrown around, and I look up, and there's this, like, big, like, bald dude with a beard, and he's standing over me, like, holding people back so I can tie my shoes. And he's like the scary looking motherfucker who's like, "You all right, man? You all right, bro? I got you, man." So it's like, that's how I see Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie is like a scary looking motherfucker. He's like, "You all right, bro? I got you, man."
Yeah, I mean, and it does feel like that. It's like you know what he feels like is a big brother.
Yeah.
It's big brother shit. It's like, hey, kiddo, I'm going to show you all the cool shit.
Listening to Thrice in a shitty, like, beater car.
Sure. Like, I don't know. He's got a steez about him that I admire, and I'll never stop admiring. And also, it's kind of like it's just really genuine. The same exists in, like, it's kind of like juggalos. Like, listen, talk shit, but every time I've ever fallen on the ground and a juggalo was nearby, they helped me get up, and they hugged me afterward, and they were super nice.
Listen, if you ever need...
sure, maybe they wanted, some pussy, but it's fine.
If you ever need a hug, a juggalo will give you a hug. It just may not smell very good.
I've been in many situations where a juggalo was the difference between me and danger. Like, a juggalo helped me in situations, like, more than 5 times. And because of this, I can't be mad at them. I feel a kinship with the juggalos, even though I personally don't I mean, it's kind of like being a furry. If you say you're not a furry, then people are going to say you're more of a furry. So me mentioning this at all makes people go, well, if May says she's not a juggalo, then at this point, everyone's going to assume that she is. So take with that what you fucking will. My point is, they're good people. They'll give you the shirt off their back. And I feel the same way about Rob Zombie. He represents this kind of idea of people that will give you the shirt off their back.
Yeah.
For a while, and then he kind of got rich. And I guess maybe that's it. Maybe it's the wealth. Maybe it's the money. Maybe it's that took his authenticity and took it out back and shot it.
Maybe Jodorowsky was right.
Uh-oh. Burn your money.
Burn your money. All right,
I think we're coming up on the end here.
Yeah. May,
1,000 Corpses.
do you put this movie in the gold pile or the shit pile?
So when I was 13, me and my sister would go up to Blockbuster Video. We'd walk down to Blockbuster Video every weekend, and we would rent this movie, and we would watch it. And I watched it so many times that I developed opinions that were both, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life, and no other movie will ever get better than this, and I think I hate this. This is a piece of shit, and I'm annoyed by this. And then I'd watch it the next time, and I'd have a completely wildly different opinion. So my point is, today, on this podcast, I think I like it.
Gold pile. Hell yeah.
Gold pile for me.
Gold for me, too. I mean, before the ads, I gave my, I think I gave my ultimate breakdown of how I feel about the movie.
Yeah.
But it's reiterate, I think on a technical level, it's not the best movie, but it's endearing.
It grows on you the more you see it.
Yeah, and there's this wholesomeness to it that I just can't. It's authentic, and it's kind of ultimately a little wholesome. More wholesome than any other horror movie.
Somehow. Even though it's about necrophiles.
Yeah.
It's somehow wholesome. How?
Yeah.
How does he do this? It's like the Munsters. You can't think the Munsters are evil. They're the Munsters. They're your best fucking friends. Come on. All right.
And with that, all of our sponsors, the links to their stuff down in the comments.
Oh, yeah. Patreon.com/excrement. Thank you to our patrons over there.
Yeah.
Things are advancing quickly. We were talking about the possibility of doing live shows. If that's something you're interested in, hit us up.
Yeah.
Contact us.
Yeah.
We need to make that. We need to figure out what that would even entail.
Right.
But either way, thank you for stopping by, you beautiful, beautiful bitch. And I'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye.